Oh my god, this is definitely prep.
What? What just happened? What is this move?
What is this move? It's also just crazy that Hans is finding these moves. Look at the time, everybody. So
Did you see that? Levy Rozman couldn't believe his eyes. This was the moment that Hans Niemann played a move that broke GothamChess. But was it actually a prep? Today we are going to analyze the game that caused this meltdown. This crazy chess game was played in the quarterfinals of the Speed Chess Championship, and Hans Niemann comes up with a brilliant idea with the white pieces. He kicks off with pawn to e4. Lazavik responded with c5. We have the Sicilian defense and knight jumps out, and we have now the Rosodimo. Boring? No, Hans has some crazy ideas. Takes, and now b3 tries to fianchetto the bishop. f6 trying to close the diagonal. d3, e5. Everything normal, but here is where Hans make it unnormal. Knight to h4, queen is coming to h5 check, so knight e7 trying to defend it, but now crack open the position. Bishop comes out from this diagonal, d5 breaking the center, castle, d takes e4. He wants to trade the queens, but Hans says no. Knight d2, sacrificing a pawn. Knight wants to take, so you need to take it. And how about this move? Knight to c4 tries to give a check on this square, so knight to g6 to prevent it, to cover this square. And here where Hans comes up with queen to h5 trying to take here, and Lazavik here spent a minute to find queen to d5 to defend this position, attacking the queen. And here comes the prep, the moment that Levy got shocked by Hans Niemann. Bishop to e5, a brilliant move by Hans Niemann, disconnecting the queens, and now white wants to take on g6. Remember, this is pins, and here Denis Lazavik shows his defensive skills in a very high class, and he found the only moves in the position. He comes up with a bishop sacrifice, a counter bishop sacrifice on g4. You need to take it, and you need to go out of this diagonal, and after takes back we have knight takes e5, knight takes e5, of course not queen taking because there is rook e1, f takes e5, and here Hans should have continued with queen h5. But then king d7, knight g6 take, and black can sacrifice an exchange. But Hans decided to keep it normal, c takes d3. But here Lazavik just changed the queens, queen to d4, takes, and now we have the endgame. Bishop to d6, knight f5. Hans still is making the pressure, putting the pressure on the opponent, but now king to d7. Brilliant defense, because he wants to give up the pawn and then tries to equalize the game. Rook to f8, just some trades. c5, the bishop is bad, but black has so many space. King to e6, king is coming to d5, not allowing knight takes d6, and king comes to d5. We have rook to c4, trade the rooks, and after that, Hans comes up to a point that he cannot defeat Denis Lazavik with his superhero defensive skills. And this is where both players agrees to a draw. But is it all? No. In the next game, Denis Lazavik shows how to win in chess. In this game, Denis Lazavik annihilated Hans Niemann's black king with a pawn storm and a kingside attack. Let's go and learn from him. He just kicks off with pawn to c4. We have the English opening. Let's see what happened. g3, g6, both players fianchetto their bishops, and knight to c3, knight c6, all symmetrical, but here he plays b3. He wants to play for double fianchetto system. Both bishops are fianchettoed, but Hans goes for knight f6. We have bishop to b2, and then castle. And here, Denis Lazavik just plays knight to h3, a very strange maneuver when everybody expects the knight goes to f3. Lazavik puts it on h3, but he has some special plans for this knight. Knight to h3, b6, and now castle. Bishop to b7, Hans also plays the double fianchetto. Bishops are fianchettoed on the long diagonal. And here e3, keeping his options open. Both d4 is possible, trying to keep control over the center. Now d4 is an opportunity, and after e5, which was not the best, maybe e6, keeping things symmetrical as far as possible, but he plays e5, and in this position Denis Lazavik showed why he put the knight on h3, and he goes for an attack with f4. With f4, knight is not in the way, and knight can join the attack later, but Hans says d6, where's the big deal? And here is where's the big deal. Pawn to f5, launching a pawn storm against Hans' king. And remember, now white has some access to the light squares, and black has so many weaknesses on the light squares. So after f5, black just plays rook b8, trying to trade these light square bishops, but now comes g4. Can you believe it? He goes for g4. Now he wants to go for g5, and then f6. He's just coming, he just doesn't afraid of his king, because his king is safe, and black has no play. He went for knight e8 to prevent this g5, but Then knight to e4 is coming. Of course, here knight f2 was good, queen e2 was good, but knight e4 is good enough. Knight e4 is good enough. g5, f6 is coming. Who can prove it wrong? Maybe queen to h4 was the only chance, but it's very hard to put your queen in this position because white might catch it with g5 or something like that. Here is where Hans goes wrong. He plays d5. He's under a lot of attack. He plays d5 and Lazavik says, just give it to me. What is this? C takes d5. And after knight b4, he goes for g5. He is concentrating on his attack. Now, black is in a big problem. He should have taken on f5, but rook takes f5. This is just seems lost. This is just seems hopeless. If he had take here, f6, and after here, this bishop is dead, the position is dead, and black can actually resign here. So this is why Hans Niemann goes with f6. He just tries to defend something. He just wants to create some chaos in the position. But Lazavik is very well prepared for this. He just takes on g6. After takes back, he takes on f6. Crack open the king's position. And after knight takes f6, engine suggests knight f6, rook f6, queen g4, game over. Of course it's game over, but Lazavik was tempted to play knight g5 to put the knight on e6. This is completely winning. After bishop takes e5, he just plays e4. And now Hans should have played bishop b7, allowing knight e6. Allowing knight e6 in this position, which is very hard, and Lazavik should have taken on e5. It's a very complicated game, but still white is much better, probably close to winning. It's like a +2 position. He just goes to f7 and give this to me. Rook to b7, just tries to, everything is on the king's side. He just tries to defend everything very hard. But bishop to c3, now e5 is coming. Just be ready for e5. e5 is coming. He just blunders in this position. When you're attacking chess, your opponents are going to blunder. Rook e7. Are you going to see it? You see the move? It's very easy. It's very easy. Bishop f6 is winning. But maybe this is what he calculated. Bishop f6, rook f6. And then I have some queen d4, rook f2, maybe some knight c2. I don't know why he calculated. Maybe knight to d3. But Lazavik just plays rook takes f6. And Hans resigned the game. Hans resigned the game. Because if you take back, bishop takes f6, controlling this diagonal, and black is just simply lost. Can you believe it? He won in 22 moves after holding that hard prep from Hans. Like, defending that position with the black pieces was not easy, and winning this game was the consequence of that draw. He managed to draw with the black pieces against that prep, and in this game, he just comes up with a formatic chess opening, like English and attacking on the king side. No specific prep, but some ideas, some patterns that white going to attack like this. Let's see the result of this match. At the end of this match, Denis Lazavik managed to beat Hans Niemann 15.5 to 9.5 with a 6-point margin. It's a big margin. Hans, in the previous year, qualified for the semifinals. As you can remember, he lost to Magnus Carlsen in a very bad way. But this year, Lazavik kicked him off from the tournament. And you can see that now Denis Lazavik is going to face Magnus Carlsen in the semifinals in the February, which Alireza Firouzja and Hikaru Nakamura are also going to play it. I hope you enjoyed this video. This was a very brilliant game by Denis Lazavik. He showed his defensive skills, how to manage a draw, how to play against a surprise in the opening. He comes up with a counter bishop sacrifice. Of course, not super difficult, but to keep your nerves and that at that position is the main ability. He drew that game, and you can see how he won this game. If you like the video, please like and subscribe to the CM Shah Chess Academy.